a little hula heaven where dreams come true. In a little hula heaven, in a little hula heaven, in a little hula heaven where dreams come true. Let's do it one more time. In a little hula heaven where dreams come true. I'll say. In a little hula heaven where dreams come true. What a wonderful world.
Hey, Brother Norman. Over here, Mike. Brother Norman Solomon, let's give him a big hand for his good job playing music for us. Hey, brother. Aloha. 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 E kia kuokalani. E ho mai ka iki. E ho mai ka mana. E ka hoi ka aina, e molelo o Hawaiian. E kama mai, e kama mai, e kama mai. Aloha, keke o ka aina, kama aina. Malahini aikane ohana pehe oi. That is correct. When the Hawaiians say to you, pehe oi, how are you? The answer is, mai kai. I'm good. I'm happy to listen to Uncle Bill Fernandez. But if you really are happy to be with me, you really are excited about what we're going to tell you, you add the no. You go, mai kai no. And you do the no like you did when you were a small child. And your mama asked you to do something and you said no and ran away. So let's see how happy you are to be with us tonight. Aloha koa nui loa, pehe oi! Oh, yeah. That means yes, you're great. Maluno kini popo. You're all right on the ball. Very naughty when you're 2 years old. Well, what I started with was a little Hawaiian chant. I asked the Lord in heaven to give you understanding, to give you wisdom, to give you great spiritual power. As with my voice, I give you stories of Hawaiian. Valley High may call you any night, any day. Here am I, your special island. Come to me, come to me. Now, when we were in California, our friends would come over to Kauai, and all they do was run north and find that white sand beach where Mr. Gaynor sang, I'm going to wash that man right out of my hair and send him on his way. But as my classmate Don Ho would say, they would leave Hawaii without knowing anything about us. So we begin our storytelling tonight with the great Mahele of 1848. Kamehameha III was convinced by his missionary advisors to change the communal sharing system that had existed for centuries and institute private property. For many, many years, we had a social program here which would be the envy of Karl Marx, whose credo was, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Why? Why this change? The advisor said, your people are starving. They need a piece of land for themselves so that they can have a home, a farm, raise a family. I wonder if that really worked out that way. In the mid-18th century, the economy of the islands was wailing. It is a very transient economy. It was marked by brothels, booze and broads, and brawls. That's what I meant to say. The alii had squandered away the only real trading item that we had, which was sandalwood. It was all gone. The early Polynesians had brought to the islands 28 items. Sugarcane was one of them, and it grew wild in Hawaii. There were 3 young men from America who came to Koloa, Kauai, and opened up the first sugar mill, which took a lot of land for the growing of cane. And the central feature of the mill was the company store. The Great Mahele resulted in large estates, large plantations. But the common Hawaiian did not understand the process of securing private property, and they were marginalized. No noko au ika ma'iko, ia ea ke kua poho poho. St. Peter, don't you call me, for I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Now, these are real lyrics from the 19th century. They mirror Tennessee Ernie Ford's 16 tons quite well. I worked in the sugar fields, I sweated, my back hurt, and in the end, I owed everything to the company store. Well, whether Hawaiians wouldn't work, or there were too few from death from disease, or they couldn't be forced to work by the plantations. Kamehameha IV was convinced in 1852 to allow the importation of Chinese laborers. They came here on 4-year contracts. For $3 a month, you worked 6 days a week, 10 to 12-hour days. They were contract slaves. If you didn't work or you ran away, you went to jail. Well, okay, we've got now the plantations have got cheap land and they've got cheap labor. Another problem was that whenever they sent sugarcane out to other countries, there was a tariff, especially America. And they wanted to try to end this tariff in some way, but Kamehameha V, Lord Kamehameha, would not have any part of this. He didn't like America at all. He was a very autocratic man. He dissolved the Constitution of 1852, which had checks and balance in it, and he presented his own Constitution of 1864. And to nutshell it, it was, the kingdom is the king. What happened in 1865 was the passage of an act that if you were a leper, you were sent away. Old plantation nani oe, home pume hana ike aloha. Old plantation, you're so beautiful. A home filled with warmth. 8,000 Hawaiians were taken from their homes filled with the love of family, and imprisoned in Kalapapa, Molokai. 2,000-foot cliffs, a roaring ocean. We were told from the pulpit, this is your punishment for immorality. The consequences for Hawaiians was awesome. Well, we didn't get a reciprocity treaty during Lot's time, and Lunalilu, who was the next king for a year, passed away without naming an heir, and as a result, the Sugar people had a chance to elect a new monarch. There were two contenders. One was Dowager Queen Emma, wife of Kamehameha IV, who was against giveaways. No way, no way. And then David Kalakaua. Well, he was elected by a large majority by the Sugar people, and he rushed off and got a treaty of reciprocity with the United States of America. Now, again, do you understand what reciprocity means and tariffs? For sugar cane to be imported to America, it was 2 cents a pound of sugar, and that was the profits for the Sugar people. Now, why would America give such a favorable treaty to Hawaii? What was it that we could give to the U.S.? Anybody? What was it? What did we have? Pearl Harbor! When the British investigated in the year 1835, they said this is the finest potential naval base in the Pacific. So that was the trade bait. Control of Pearl Harbor was turned over to America. What happened was that the sugar plantations boomed in number, quadrupled. Immigration increased tremendously. You had Portuguese, Japanese, Filipinos, South Sea Islanders, Germans, Brits, Scots, 22 ethnic groups that were brought in to the islands. And you had multimillionaires, but none of them Hawaiians. You know, Kalakaua was a darling of the Sugar people, but you know, he's a merry monarch. You've heard of that, I'm sure, you know, about his hula shows that go on every year. He loved to party and spend. And the sugar people said, we got to stop this. We got to prevent this wastrel ways of this monarch. So there came the Bayonet Constitution of 1887, wherein, at the point of a gun, Kalakaua abrogated the Constitution of 1864, adopted a new constitution where he was just a puppet king. His ministers were to run the government. All Asians could not vote, and most Hawaiians, because you needed to have land. And as I told you, Hawaiians are marginalized way back when. But was the wastrel ways of Kalakaua the reason why he was overthrown, in a sense? Maybe. But he had a prime minister called Walter Murray Gibson. And Walter Murray Gibson's political philosophy was Hawaii for the Hawaiians. And kind of mirrored what Kalakaua felt, that Hawaiians should be in control of the country. Well, who do you think was the first person to be lynched on the day of the signing of the Bayonet Constitution? Anybody? Anybody? Walter Murray Gibson. Read my story, you'll hear about that one. Well, at any event, Kalakaua did not last too long after that, and Liliuokalani became the Queen of Hawaii. She was told at the very beginning, let your ministers do all the work. Don't trouble yourself with the government. You'll live a long and happy life. What happened after she became queen was what's called the McKinley Tariff Act. This ended the favorable treatment for Hawaiian sugar. So we do not have any more savings. 2 cents was put back in. It became imperative for the sugar people to have annexation to the United States. But Liliuokalani was a very feisty woman. She really felt that her brother did the wrong thing by knuckling under to the Bayonet Constitution people. Women have had a strong position in our government of Hawaii. Kahumanu comes to mind as an example. But anyway, she proposed to her ministers a new constitution, that you would return the power of government to the monarch, that all Hawaiians would be allowed to vote. At about that time, a warship from America, the USS Boston, came into Honolulu Harbor, filled with Marines and machine guns. Aloha oe, aloha noi, ike ala ona no, ikalipo. One fond embrace before we now depart, until we meet again. January 16th, 1893, Marines and machine guns landed in Honolulu Harbor, marched up to face Iolani Palace, surrounded Ali Iolani Hale, which was the government building, And 13 businessmen entered Ali Iolani and took over the government of the islands. Liliuokalani surrendered her authority to the United States. The revolutionaries rushed to Washington. And I should pause here for a moment. Hawaiians were some of the most literate people in the world. They had literally a dozen papers written in Hawaiian. All the newspapers pro-monarchy were suppressed, and the Hawaiian language was suppressed. At any event, the revolutionaries went to Washington to offer Hawaii. The newly elected president was Grover Cleveland, and he said, "I will have none of it," because it was not a popular revolution. It occurred because of the intervention of United States Armed Forces. The revolutionaries proceeded to create the Republic of Hawaii, which arose on July 4th, 1894. Before Liliuokalani's overthrow, there were scores of lepers on this island who felt that they wanted to live in freedom, who felt that they did not want to give up their loved ones. And they fled to Kalalau Valley. The new government of Hawaii said, "We're going to get those people." They sent militia, soldiers with guns and artillery into that valley. And they rounded up the lepers. They had a battle with one Hawaiian, Ko'olau, a name that we Hawaiians remember. Ko'olau would die in Kalalau Valley, and 100 or more lepers would be taken off to the colony. Come with me where moonbeams light Hawaiian skies, and we'll cheer each other to the pagan love song. I was raised with one foot in Christianity and the other in the old kahuna system. My grandfather was Catholic, and my mother was raised by her grandparents in Ko'olau. Tani came from Hanamaui and Nipoa from the Big Island, Ka'u. They were really steeped in the old religion. You know, stories were told about the shark swimming around my grandfather's legs and driving the fish into his net. Other stories were told about Pele and what she could do, and you get chicken skin when you hear some of those stories. Others were about men who came to seize children for sacrifice. But the most frightening of all was the uhani, the ghost. And uhani could come and take you away. If you started to feel cold in your feet, that moved up towards your stomach and then all the way up here. It's an uhani, watch out. How do you fight the uhani? You have to get the kahuna. And there were many times when I would stand in a dark room and I would tell stories, a strange experience or a bad dream to a kahuna. And she would come up with an answer to the plot that was being plotted against us our family. Ua mau I ke o ka aina I ka pono o Hawaii. Cry for the gods, cry for the people, cry for the land that was taken away. Iale, iale, we the voices behind the face of the Hawaiian nation, the Hawaiian race. We the warriors born to live on what the land and sea can give. Defend our birthright to be free. Give our children liberty. Iale, rise up, rise up. Medley of songs from the Hawaiian Renaissance. When young Hawaiians first learned how they had lost their land, how their queen was overthrown, and how an unwanted annexation had occurred to America. And I didn't mention this, and I shall now, but there was the threat of annexation in the 1890s because of the Spanish War with America. 39,000 people signed a petition protesting annexation to the United States. Didn't work, but we got annexed anyway. Now we come to my stories. John Tana is a young man, an orphan, 17 years old. He shares his kuleana, his land, in the traditional Hawaiian way with other Hawaiians. But a sugar baron comes in to his home, says, "This is mine. You must go." John is totally confused. He doesn't know anything about private property. He doesn't know anything about capitalism. He doesn't understand why land isn't shared with other people with aloha. He flees to Lahaina to find family. There he has to do battle with whalers to fight a killer sent to wipe him out by the sugar baron. And he escapes to Honolulu. There's more adventures that come. There's a story of, interesting story from the standpoint of the Chinese, he struggles with capitalism. He doesn't quite succeed. He loses the love of his life, and he goes to Kauai, and that's God's ghost and kahuna. And now the stories that I was told by my elders come to life. And if you read God's Ghosts and Kahunas, you read all about the ghosts, the ohani, the kahuna, the pele, and so on and so forth. He also has to struggle again with capitalism, with the sugar plantations. He finds a way to eventually overcome and to acquire land in Kilauea. We'll come back to that one a little later. The final story that I've written is Hawaiian rebellions. We start out by learning how John finally overcomes the kahuna system that pervades on Kauai. You then learn about the work camps, and especially how the Chinese were treated. In terrible conditions. We begin the story of leprosy and what effect it had on our local people. We even, I'll come to that in a moment. We begin to deal with the revolts. You will read about why the Bayonet Constitution. You read about what would happen to Walter Murray Gibson. You will read about the Hawaiian Revolution, the Wilcox Revolt of 1889 and its failure. We proceed quite rapidly towards Liliuokalani and their overthrow and what happened in that revolt. But the most important story of all that's in this book is about leprosy, the people that were living in freedom and in happiness. Happiness in Kalalau Valley. And then the soldiers come. They shoot up the valley. They fire, trying to get Ko'olau. He is resisting. And then the artillery fires all over the valley. Then the fires start. And all the lepers, except one Hawaiian, is taken away. You will read about the revolution of 1895. You will read about how my grandfather lost his land to the Kilauea plantation. True story. It's in the Supreme Court reports of the Republic of Hawaii. And you'll read the final fate of John Tana. The next book is called Splendid Paddle. It deals with the time of Kamehameha I when he tried to conquer Hawaii Island. It has lots of battles, human sacrifice, and the freewheeling lifestyle, sexual lifestyle of Hawaiians. Now, no 50 Shades of Grey is in this book. The next story is Terror in Paradise, which describes the fascism of the Big Five companies, the communism that arose after World War I and its effect in Hawaii. It is set after the Hanapepe massacre of September 1924, when 16 Filipinos were shot to death. My stories come from my elders. Are generated from what they told me as a child. I also did a lot of historical research to find out what did happen back in that old time. The shock of capitalism to Hawaiians, the cruelty of disease, and especially leprosy, has really affected our people. I want to read you a quote from a noted historian, Gavin Dawes. He points out what had once been a happy, carefree, and generous people were not only faced with the problem of cultural clash, but were torn asunder by a disease more than any other, which symbolize the disastrous consequences, biological and cultural, of contact between the Hawaiian Islands and the rest of the world. I think that summarizes why there is a sovereignty movement, why there is a desire for some Hawaiians for independence. Let me say this, I am not an independence person. I believe in America. I think we are very fortunate to be part of the United States. If I tell you these stories, it's because I want you to get another point of view besides what may be published by others. And my expressions are based on history. It is based on facts, but I did not want my novels to have footnotes and citations. I mean, I did all that when I was a judge, and it's really boring, you know. According to the case of Philip versus Jones, the following, and this is the rule in you know, Hawaii Supreme Court reports, whatever, you know, so I didn't want to do that. I thought another quote that is very good is from Barack Obama. The aloha spirit of Hawaii often offers hope to an opportunity for all Americans to find its diversity and how different cultures blend together into one population made stronger by their shared sense of community. E haole o na pio kawaii ne oli ahe ahe makani e manin pau mai ne mau ke aloha no Hawaii. Me ke aloha pumihana. May you all be surrounded with love. Mahalo nui loa for coming. Thank you, thank you. I did promise that this would be a little bit of a talk story, and I noticed that my good friend Kimo Kiawe, he and I were chatting about Judge Kauai. Judge Kauai led the lepers to freedom in Kalalau Valley. Right, Kimo?
Yeah, it's true.
Anything you want to say about your relative?
No, that was my great-great-grandfather. My grandmother was hanai by the Kauai family.
Yes. Okay. Well, it's beautiful when you read what Kauai did, Judge Kauai. Anyone have any questions they'd like to ask?
I love Hawaii.
Hey! Yes, young lady.
Thank you. I'm surprised that you didn't mention the missionaries. My understanding is that they came first and converted people from their religion into Christianity, and then they became the capitalists who took over the land. Is that true?
Could you repeat a question?
Well, she's talking about the missionaries coming to Hawaii.
You mentioned the missionaries, and that seems to me like that's a big part of history that ignited this whole thing to take over.
Well, you're talking about the missionaries coming here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and your question is about them?
Well, I'm just wondering why you admitted that. It seems like it's such a big part of the history.
Well, no, it is. I can't cover, you know, you got to read all my books to get all the history. You know, read Rainbows Over Kapa, that gives them history. Okay, and then read the next book about Kamehameha. That might help you. But yes, the missionaries came in 1820. At that time, all the idols were gone. You know, I told you about Kahumano? Feisty woman, that lady. She convinced her Kamehameha the First. She was Kamehameha the first wife, and they were absolutely close. And he made her regent when she died. When he died, and his son, the Kamehameha II, was co-ruler with her. And she's the one that had gone on all of the sailing ships that came into port. And you know, the O Kahuna system, if you broke kapu, you died. The gods would kill you. Well, she was breaking kapu all the time on the ship. So she told her Kamehameha II, hey, let's go eat together, which is breaking kapu, you know, man and woman eating together. That what happened was the bolts did not come from the sky. Everybody survived who ate with women, you know, and their idols were overthrown. Another story, by the way, to tell you when I read that one. But at any event, all the idols were overthrown. About 10 months later, the missionaries show up and they've got no gods anymore. Christianity was in a perfect spot to take over, and the Kahumanu fell in love with the missionaries, and that changed our history tremendously. Now, does that answer your question, that long answer?
Yes, I like that.
Yeah. Okay, my friend who's got to catch an 8 o'clock airplane, what's your question? Okay.
Hey, thanks for the history.
Okay, good.
Wonderful.
Good, good. Anybody else want yes, Linda.
So the Filipinos that were killed in Ponapepe,
Yes.
was that the, sort of the first attempt to stand up to the sugar planters, or had that happened before?
Well, it had happened before. I mean, it wasn't the first shooting that occurred. I mean, it was, I'll answer your question a little bit in a long way. When we became part of America and the Organic Act of 1900 was passed, the Constitution of the United States became part of our law. I told you about contract slaves, indentured servitude. That was wiped out. So now, the Japanese laborers who were in this, contract servitude period said, hey, wait a minute, we're free. You're not free. The plantations still had guns and you didn't. So read my story, the next one coming up next. Because I cover that situation in Terror in Paradise. Because you have to know that, this is a fertile place for communism after World War I. Anything else? All right. So we've had a good day, I hope. And aloha okoa nui loa.
You know I was flying home at 8 o'clock tonight.
Stick around. We'll have more stories to tell. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
In a little hula heaven, in a little hula heaven, in a little hula heaven, where you, let's do it one more time.